What's up, everybody? Episode 19 here. Got some more rear end work going on. I'll probably cut somewhere in this video and then clip in another section just because I'm still working in the middle of something, but I really want to record what I got going on right now, and then I'm going to record some more after I'm done working in a little bit. So I spent the last night and a half, like last night and then some during the day today, with some wire wheels, some flap discs, and really cleaning up the rear end. You know, it was like, I got some local quotes for like $150 to have the rear end sandblasted. And frankly, I just would rather spend that money on parts I need or materials I need. And so I have a lot of the abrasives and I needed some more abrasives anyways. I went and bought some and I started grinding away. Let me tell you, I greatly regret that decision. I probably should have just spent the $150 because I got a complete mess. The amount of dust that was in the air from the sanding and grinding will last for, I don't even know how, until summertime comes around and I can open this garage up and really clean it out. I mean, it is just caked on everything. Every little thing's just got dust all over it. I mean, I cleaned this section of my garage right here, and this was the pile that it created. I mean, it's like super mistakes were made. But what I got going on is a relatively cleaned rear end housing now. So most of the castings cleaned up. The tubes look pretty good. The bottom of it looks good. The top of it's not the greatest. I'm still going to do some work to the top of it and then probably hit it with some the rust neutralizer, and then really just kind of build the rear end. I'll probably spray bomb it for the time being, and then eventually I'll send it and get powder coated before I final assemble it down the road. But I got the rear end set up here. Now, last time we talked, I was just kind of getting some rough measurements on where I was going to cut the axles and stuff like that. But one crucial thing I forgot to bring into the equation and talk about and stuff like that, and frankly, it was just because I was tired, not really thinking, which is why I don't try and make final cuts on things unless I'm for sure, you know, on something, is pinion offset. I didn't realize I didn't really look at how the housing was casted and how much it kind of threw off what that pinion offset would end up being. So if you notice, I was measuring from here to here, which is a good spot to base your tube measurement off of because it's easy, right? You can just butt the tape measure up against here and measure off the tube. But if you look how short this is versus how long this is, and then obviously the pinion is not centered, it's off over here, okay? So you can look up online what pinion offset is on a lot of housings. 4 8/8 or 9/16. So from the center of the cover here, it's 9/16 offset. So what I did is I made a mark right there, a little black mark. You can see it right behind the laser when I cover it up. And then one up top there, which you can't see as good. There it is right there. And that's the center, or that's the pinion offset. So that's the center of the pinion. Then I measured the center between these two bolt holes and put a mark there, and then put a mark there for the center of those two bolt holes. And then if you look down through there, you can tell where the center is. And then I also put a tape measure in the back here where my fingers are, put a tape measure back there to make sure that the laser's in the center of the actual pinion. So that way I know that from the front here to the back there, the laser's sitting correctly, okay? So I know that the laser's sitting correctly and it's nice and straight. So it's straight this way, it's straight this way. It should be, you know, perpendicular and parallel to everything it needs to be. Then I can take my tape measure and pull measurements. Hold the tape measure across, pull the measurement, flip the tape measure, trying to do this upside down left-handed. Flip it around, pull the measurement, okay? And then you measure all the way across too and record that measurement like that, right? So basically what I got, and I did this a couple different ways, and I'm going to show you guys some different ways to do this. But so this is 16 and what is that, 7/16, 16 and 7/16, and then 8 and 9/16, and then 7 and 7/8. All right, you add those two together, it equals this. That is the center of my pinion. So now when I'm measuring for the tube lengths, I can account and make sure that the pinion ends up in the center of the vehicle, because I need that pinion in the center of the vehicle, okay? So not everybody has a little laser, all right, to do this, okay? But there's another way you can do it. And I also did it that way, and I'll show you guys how I did that. So here on the bench, I have 4 dots, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have a circle, and I found the center of that circle, okay? So I got 4 dots that I drew lines in between, and a circle with the center of the circle. And what that represents, those 4 dots are a plumb bob that I hung like this. It's hard to do one-handed, so I'm not really going to be able to show you very good, but I hung it like that, I let it stabilize, and I marked a dot. Then I went to the other side of the tube. Same thing, hung it, let it stabilize, marked a dot. I did the same thing over there, right on the edge of the tube, the back side, right? So now I got those 4 spots right there, okay? And then what I did is I drew lines in between them. I measured from corner to corner, opposite corner to opposite corner. I made sure that this is square, which it was. I made sure that these were 90, which they are. So now I know that my plumb bob marks are nice and square and true. And the rear end was rotated so that the pinion hole is facing down, okay? Then I made sure I had a level on here and that this was at 0 degrees. So I know that the pinion's facing straight down 0 degrees. And I just took some blocks like this and put them so that they were center inside this. So this is rotated down. These are sitting up in that hole centered, okay? So my 4 dots here, 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 and here, and that's sitting in the center. And then what I was able to do is get some measurements. And I got 7 3/4 and 8 7/8. Now, it's a decent amount off of this, right? You know, you're talking almost a 1/4 inch here. And then only 1/8 of an inch here. But when you look at it, you know, 1/8 of an inch probably won't hurt you too much when it comes to pinion offset. So is this as accurate as grabbing the laser and squaring it up? No. But what I could have done is also just double check some measurements, because if I added these two together, I don't think that they would have been the distance from outside to outside here. So I would have found a discrepancy, all right? And in that discrepancy, I would have been able to re-plumb bob, double check it, and go from there. So the plumb bob method with, you know, just some solid stock sitting in the center is one way to do it, right? I like showing different ways to accomplish a similar thing, a similar goal. I think at the end of the day, when you're doing something like this, you can only make it so accurate. You have to try and measure it different ways and check it different ways. Don't just trust that you did something right the first time a lot of times. So check it, you know, I got the laser on there. I did the plumb bobs. Sure, did I spend 30 minutes doing something that could have been a lot less time? Yes, but I also want to make sure that this is correct. I really would like that drive shaft to be lasered straight down the center of my vehicle, right? That way I know that I'm not going to have any weird stuff happening. Is an 1/8 inch going to kill you? Probably not. Really an 1/8 inch on a drive shaft, you know, that's 3 feet long. Like, I don't know how many degrees that is, but it can't be much, right? If you did the math. So that's how I figured out this dimension here. And then from that point, you know, my axle that needs to be 40 inches, or it needs to be 30.5 from the end of the tube to the end of the tube, I now can subtract this and figure out my exact tube lengths. All right. And then I can also figure out where my new Tin Soldier 4-link brackets can go. Okay. So these are my new Tin Soldier 4-link brackets. All right. There's 4 of them here. They're going to sit on the rear end just like that. Okay. And then these are the doublers that go on there. And these kind of act as 2 different things. They act as some more strength from bolting the heim joints on and off. And they kind of strengthen all these areas that have, you know, thinner spots because of all the different adjustment holes. So they're going to strengthen that. And then also if there's any damage on the outside of this from like a washer or something like that, say it comes loose and the washer starts beating into it, you can always grind and cut this off, put a new one on, and it's not going to damage your base metal plate that's welded to the axle. So it can be a repair thing, and then it's also a strength thing so that the holes don't go beat up. So everything will have doublers on it, or not everything, but the 4-link bars will have doublers on it. These are the shock mounts. So the shocks that are in the rear, these are the adjustment mounts for the shocks, your lower bar, your upper bar. And then there'll be a brace on the top and the bottom here. And then the top brace will come along to the top of this. The bottom brace will come along to the bottom of this one. And then I'll run braces from the outside of the tube to the front here, and then front over to the outside of the tube. And then I also have to put a wishbone mount on the bottom. So we got the brackets, we got housing ends, right? Housing ends, brackets. I'm gonna pick up some tube Monday, and then next week it looks like we should have an axle getting cut, tapped together, all that stuff. I'm really hoping that over tonight and tomorrow that I got the tubes cut to the proper length. I can start welding the doublers. I can get them set on here, possibly get these tacked on, get my alignment stuff put in, and really make some headway on this axle. I'm super excited to get this axle done because it will be the first thing on the project that we'll be able to say, check, right? All we've been doing so far is cutting and making a mess. And getting this axle done will just be that first step of, okay, I completed this one thing. Now let's complete the next 100, okay? Probably more than 100, honestly. When you really break it down between every little thing, wiring, fuel systems, interior, paint, all that stuff, right? This is going to be a long ride for anybody following. We're a month in and we don't even have our first thing checked off. So if you don't know how long that's going to take, it's going to take a while. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys following, and I hope you learned something along the way. You have a good night. Thank you.